at his first inauguration as the nation's 10th president in 1965 at the Carino Grandstand in Manila. The same venue was used for former President Fidel Ramos's oath-taking in 1992. The oath of office was administered by then Supreme Court Chief Justice Andres Narvasa. While former President Joseph Erap Estrada took his oath at the Baraswain Church in Bulacan in 1998, he gave his inaugural speech at the Carino Grandstand. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo was first sworn in as president in January 2001 at the EDSA Shrine after Estrada left Malacanang and stepped down from office following the second EDSA revolution. 3 years later, Arroyo did deliver her inauguration speech at the Carino Grandstand before taking her oath of office in Cebu. Now, this marked her second term and a full 6-year term as president. The inauguration site of the late former President Noynoy Aquino was also the Carino Grandstand in 2010, while President Rodrigo Duterte's oath-taking took place in Malacanang. Incoming Presidential Management Staff Secretary Naida Angping saying the Carino Grandstand was considered for President-elect Marcos's inauguration, but they chose not to disrupt operations of a number of COVID-19 field hospitals in the area. The Commission on Elections is incomplete for a second time this year as 3 seats in the en banc are again left empty. That after Congress bypassed the appointments of Chairman Saidamen Pangarungan and Commissioners George Garcia and Amy Neri. COMELEC has no official leader as of now, with 4 remaining commissioners unable to meet yesterday, also because of incomplete attendance. They have not designated an acting chairman, which will likely be most senior Commissioner Socorro Inding. A retired poll official says work will take a hit.
7 is always better than just 4. Itong mga panahong ito, ang mabigat na trabaho talaga, yung pag-resolve ng yung mga naiwang disqualification cases, yung mga cancellation cases, yung mga failure of election, yung mga annulment of proclamation cases. Usually merong goal talaga dyan na dapat matapos as many as possible, na kung pwede lahat, by June 30, the start of the term. So that will be the biggest challenge.
Now, still pending before the COMELEC is the disqualification case filed by a group, Pudno nga Ilocano, against now President-elect Bongbong Marcos, as well as the suspended elections for nearly 2,000 Filipino voters in Shanghai, China. The en banc is set to approve the resumption of voter registration by June or July, ahead of the December 5 barangay elections. President Duterte, however, can no longer name new COMELEC officials because of a ban on midnight appointees. Former COMELEC Commissioner George Garcia urging the poll body to lease new vote-counting machines. Speaking to CNN Philippines, Garcia says this is to pave the way for the conduct of smoother and more organized elections in the years ahead. He cites reports of a number of machine glitches in the May 9 polls.
As per our estimate, we need to really retire 97,000 vote-counting machines, and we cannot afford to use this anymore by the next election of 2025. The proper estimate, the right estimate is really 10 billion pesos to rent or lease this almost 100,000 machines. We are hoping that our Congress will be willing to invest on at least the list of these machines, so that at least we can guarantee that the problems of 2022 will not happen again.
Meanwhile, information technology experts call on COMELEC to shift to a hybrid election system and replace Smartmatic as the technology provider for the 2025 midterm polls. The experts say there are questions about the credibility of the May 9 elections because the counting of votes at the precinct level was not transparent. They claim a closer look at the transmission data supposedly show a distinct pattern of votes for each presidential and vice presidential candidate. A hybrid election system involves manual counting of votes at the precinct level and the electronic transmission of results for canvassing. While experts deny insinuating that cheating happened in the recent elections, they say COMELEC should tap a new technology provider to avoid questions on the credibility of the next polls.
What I suggest instead is that we employ a hybrid system. Briefly, this system will entail manual precinct counting for transparency and automated canvassing for speed.
They also urged COMELEC to allow a citizen-led audit of secure digital or SD cards to check if these have been programmed. Normally, pharmaceutical have been released from detention at the Pasay City Jail after 6 months. They were held for refusing to submit financial documents sought by the Senate Blue Ribbon Panel. Amer Santos reports.
They have been at the center of a corruption scandal for the past year. On Thursday morning, formerly executives Mohit Dargani and Lincoln Ong walked free from the Pasay City Jail. They were held for more than 6 months for failing to submit financial documents linked to Formerly's alleged anomalous supply deals with the government worth billions of pesos during the pandemic. Ong, formerly director, was first cited in contempt in September for allegedly lying during the Blue Ribbon Committee hearings. Dargani, formerly's corporate secretary and treasurer, was arrested in November after trying to leave the country. Senate President Tito Soto signed their release orders as soon as the chamber adjourned session on Wednesday.
He sent me a text. Nakalagay din sa text ko, I disagree, but you're the Senate President. I bow to your leadership.
Why withhold documents from the Senate? Dargani and Ong's lawyers said they were confidential and they did not trust the Blue Ribbons probe.
Even before, I have been exploring that possibility with them na kung okay ba sa kanila na mag-executive session just for us to, to reach out to possibly make a compromise. Pero masyado po kasing nasaktan na rin po yung mga kliyente ko kaya nagmatigas na rin po. So I don't think that they have regretted one bit na nakulong sila. Yung paninindigan nila is intact, their dignity is intact.
Ang ginagawa na lang po ni Senador Gordo, nagmamarites na lang eh. Tinitignan niya, kumita daw ng ganito, kumita ng ganon, may magagarang sasakyan. Hindi naman po yun public issue eh. Ang negosyante siyempre is in business to earn money. Kung kumita ka ng malaki, what business is that of Congress? To be blunt about it.
Attorney Don Capunan says his clients are willing to present the documents in court once cases are filed or in the next Congress as long as it follows due process. Attorney Ferdinand Topacio is calling on the Supreme Court to act on their petition and limit the Senate's powers. No official word from Dargani and Ong yet if they will seek further legal action against any senator.
Clients feel vindicated, like I said, because Senator Gordon lost. And we felt from the very start that he was using this for political purposes.
It cost me my election. Di ba? I knew I was going to be, and that was promised by the President to me. I will campaign against you. Bababuhin kita hanggang mamatay ka.
The draft report on the Formerly controversy failed to pass committee level. Senators Mig Zubiri and Win Gatchalian said they agreed with the recommendation to charge Formerly and other personalities, but not President Rodrigo Duterte. Still, Blue Ribbon Chairman Richard Gordon says it's now public record. He's hoping authorities and even private individuals would use it to file cases against those involved. Amor Santos, CNN Philippines.
The camp of formerly executives Dargani and Ong accused Senator Riza Ontiveros of politicizing the probe. This after Ontiveros said she was, quote, very willing to reopen the investigation in the 19th Congress. Lawyer Ferdinand Topacio claimed Ontiveros was grandstanding as the lone opposition senator. He also threatened to sue her.
Kung may anomalya po, Ms. Riza Ontiveros is free to go to court as we have gone to court to sue her for trying to secure a false testimony against my client. At nasa korte na yata siya, di ba meron pa siyang kaso ni Aguirre. So sa hukuman na po, bakit sa Senado, why is she using the Senate as a court? Mali pong misuse of legislative powers po yan ni Senator Ontiveros.
Ontiveros was quick to respond, saying she has proof she did not coerce any witness. Coming up, yet another deadly shooting in the United States in just a week's time. At least 4 people were killed after a gunman opened fire in a medical building in Oklahoma. And a legal win for Johnny Depp after a dramatic defamation trial against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. You're watching Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas. RPN sa iba't ibang mga lalawigan. DZRL Bataan, DZTG Tuguegarao, DZBS Baguio, DZKI Iriga, DYKB Bacolod, DYKC Cebu, DXKS Surigao, DXKD Dipolo, DXKO Cagayan de Oro, DXKT Davao, DXKP Pagadian, DXXX Zamboanga, DXDX General Santos, DWIZ 882 Manila at RPN Provincial Stations.
Kini ang RPN, Radio Philippines Network, Istasyon DXKP, 1377 kHz sa dial sa inyong mga radyo. Nagsibya gikan sa dakbayan sa Pagadian, DXKP AM. Your talk station. Kini Pagadian.
Welcome back. More cases of African swine fever in parts of the country. 37 barangays in 10 cities and towns now have active cases, a jump from only 12 barangays on May 12th. An agriculture official says most of these were from backyard farms, with farmers likely unaware of the virus. Among the signs of ASF on hogs are high fever, decreased appetite and weakness, red blotchy skin or skin lesions, diarrhea, vomiting, coughing, and difficulty in breathing.
Ang nagiging problema kasi natin dito ay yung more than 2 weeks na to or even 3 weeks. Ang problema natin dito dahil yung mga farmers hindi naman sila aware dun sa disease situation, much less dun sa mga signs, no? So pagka first time na nagkaroon ng off-feeding yung hayop, hindi naman sila nagre-report. Yun yung isang problema natin sa backyard. They won't bother na magpunta sa authorities kung nanamla yung baboy nila. Yung ganun yung iba magkakaroon pa ng bentahan. So mas mabilis yung kalat.
Rapid test kits are available in affected areas, while the Phase 2 trial of the ASF vaccine from Thailand will likely begin this month. Now, the agriculture sector also taking a hit from the global economic crisis as prices of chemical fertilizers have more than doubled in the country. Stanley Gaheta reports farmers have a cheaper option in biofertilizers.
As farmers grapple with rising costs of fertilizers, they can look to local technology to help tide them over to remain productive. Developed 4 decades ago at UP Los Baños in Laguna, the technology is just waiting to be tapped fully. Called biofertilizer, it uses nitrogen supplement for crops like rice and corn and even vegetables. A researcher says this could reduce fertilizer cost by half.
This bio-N can reduce the usage of chemical fertilizer. Using this bio-N by only 5 packets per hectare, it can supplement the need of nitrogen requirements of the plants.
Bio-N is a combination of compounds used for plants, pulverized wood charcoal, and garden soil. An expert says the technology can increase yield by 11%.
This could help a lot because you are reducing the usage of chemical fertilizer. First, less pollution, environment friendly, this our microorganism.
Farmer Pio Javier uses inputs like bio-N that result in better rice production.
Magkakaroon daw ng 20 hanggang 40% na katipiran sa paggamit ng nitrogen fertilizer. Yung roots ng palay ay talagang humahaba. So ultimately, kapag humaba yung roots niya, mas marami yung mag-absorb ng nutrients sa soil.
Javier says the use of biofertilizer improves the quality of produce.
Kahit malapit ka na mag-harvest, yung dahon ng palay ay green na green pa rin.
The UP Los Baños Biotechnology says bio-N biofertilizer innovation can help improve crop soil health, a possible solution to global fertilizer shortage and looming food shortage in the country. The Department of Science and Technology, PICARD, initially funded the research project years ago as it saw the potential of the biofertilizer research before and how it could help the agriculture sector.
Siyempre compared sa chemical fertilizer, medyo sumusunod lang yung mga biofertilizers natin kasi nasa forefront pa rin yung mga chemical fertilizers kasi in terms of competition sa industry,
UPLB Biotech now produces about 20,000 packets of Bio-N or 80,000 packets per month, helping more farmers in the Philippines. Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
Business tycoon Enrique Razon is gearing up to purchase a majority stake in the country's only natural gas field in Palawan. Razon's infrastructure company, Prime Infra Holdings, says acquisition talks have begun and will close with consent from the Energy Department and the Philippine National Oil Company Exploration. Malampaya is 90% owned by Udena Corporation of Dennis Uy, one of President Duterte's campaign donors in 2016. Uy has expressed optimism about the Razon Group's participation in the project. Razon's firm says it will grant interviews once the deal has been sealed. Neither disclosed how much shares are involved. The Malampaya service contract will expire in 2 years, and the gas field is expected to run dry by 2027. Malampaya supplies about a fifth of the country's power requirements. News overseas now. From one deadly shooting to another in just a week's time, the U.S. state of Oklahoma has joined other areas mourning recent attacks after 4 people were killed in the city of Tulsa on Wednesday. A gunman who was found dead by police opened fire on the 2nd floor of a medical building. This is the latest instance of gun violence in the U.S. following the tragic school shooting in the state of Texas just last week. CNN's Reed Binion now takes us to the crime scene in Tulsa.
At least 4 people were shot and killed at a Tulsa medical building late Wednesday afternoon. Police say they believe the shooter took his own life.
Right now, the suspect, we do not have an identity. That we believe we're getting close on the identity of the suspect. He is a black male, estimated to be 35 to 40 years old, and we have confirmed he had 1 long gun, a rifle, and 1 handgun.
From what I understand is that the shooter had an issue with a specific physician, and that the shooter could not find this physician, and that elicited, his behavior at the shootings.
A Tulsa police captain says the shooting is being treated as a catastrophic scene, requiring a mass evacuation of the building. Police say the building has hundreds of rooms that must be cleared during the evacuation.
The scene is fairly limited to 1 section of that floor on the 2nd floor, and officers are currently and detectives interviewing witnesses.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
The White House says it is closely monitoring the situation and has reached out to state and local officials about the incident. Now, still in the U.S., Pfizer has asked the Food and Drug Administration to allow the emergency use of its vaccine for children 6 months to 5 years old. It said trial results show the doses have an efficacy rate of about 80.3% against symptomatic COVID-19 in that age group. A different story in North Korea, where the COVID-19 situation is said to be getting worse. North Korean state media reporting the outbreak has subsided, but the WHO suspects underreporting figures, saying it is working with neighbors South Korea and China to find out what the real situation is like on the ground. Now, speaking of case reporting, French researchers say dogs may do a better job in detecting COVID-19 than rapid tests. Based on their study, specially trained canines sniffing sweat samples were able to detect the virus in nearly all cases, while rapid tests only picked up 84% of the infections. Meanwhile, the WHO is saying ecological pressure may be causing the spread of monkeypox across countries. It likens the situation to climate change, where people and animals are adapting and changing their behavior. The WHO explains this makes more opportunities for diseases to cross from animals to humans. More stories ahead on Newsnight from the Cannes Film Festival. The critically acclaimed Triangle of Sadness will be showing in local cinemas soon. Plus, the verdict is in the defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Details when we come back.
Mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas. RPN sa iba't ibang mga lalawigan. DZRL Bataan, DZTG Tuguegarao, DZBS Baguio, DZKI Iriga, DYKB Bacolod, DYKC Cebu, DXKS Surigao, DXKD Dipolo, DXKO Cagayan de Oro, DXKT Davao, DXKP Pagadian, DXXX Zamboanga, DXDX General Santos, DWIZ 882 Manila at RPN Provincial Stations.
Kini ang RPN, Radio Philippines Network, istasyon DXKP, 1377 kHz sa dial sa inyong mga radyo. Nagsibya gikan sa dakbayan sa Pagadian, DXKP AM.
Your talk station.
Kini Pagadian.
This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. A momentous victory for the Ukrainian soccer team. They are one win closer to qualifying for this year's World Cup in Qatar. Ukraine beat Scotland 3-1 in the playoff semi-final in Glasgow. Fans, both Scottish and Ukrainian, cheered for Ukraine's first competitive game since Russia's war on the country. The squad will next face Wales on Monday. Ukraine has only qualified for the World Cup once, back in 2006. Now moving to the NBA, the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics will clash in Game 1 of the finals tomorrow at 9 a.m. Philippine time. This is Golden State's sixth finals appearance in the past 8 seasons. Shifting gears, a jury found both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp liable for defamation, but Depp was awarded significantly more at $10 million in compensatory damages and $350,000 for punitive damages. The jury awarded Heard $2 million for compensatory damages. Depp sued his ex-wife over a 2018 opinion piece where she called herself a public figure representing domestic abuse. Heard countersued over statements Depp's attorney made on her abuse claims. Depp was not in court when the verdict was announced.
Question. Due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse.
Depp said in a statement that he feels at peace knowing he has accomplished his goal to, quote, reveal the truth. The actor's legal team also thanked the parties involved in the trial.
Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Heard, meanwhile, says she is, quote, heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, unquote, of her ex-husband. In K-pop news, girl group ITZY has a lot in store for fans. The chart-topping artists are releasing a new mini-album, Checkmate, on July 15th. Plus, ITZY is going on its first world tour, named after the new record, beginning in August. Stops in the Philippines have yet to be announced. Now, the 36 candidates for Miss World Philippines 2022 go head-to-head one last time before Coronation Night. Our Paige Javier has the details.
High fashion and Filipino talent took center stage at the Miss World Philippines Charity Gala Wednesday. The event served as the backdrop for the final set of pre-pageant activities. The first ever creative wear segment showcased the culture and hometowns of the 36 candidates. Each editorial photo highlighted their roots. The beauties also lit up the runway in the top model competition, dressed in creations by Filipino designers. From 36, 10 beauties remain in the running to be the top model. 5 finalists showed off their talents through dance and song numbers. Winners of the talent show and top model competition will be announced on coronation night, also earning them a spot in the semi-finals. 4 crowns will be up for grabs: Miss World Philippines, Miss Supranational Philippines, Miss Eco Philippines, and Reina Hispano-Americana Filipinas. CNN Philippines will air live the coronation night, happening Sunday at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
And hitting theaters soon is the Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or winning film, which features one of our very own. Triangle of Sadness, a satirical dark comedy, is set to show in TDA Studios cinemas exclusively. Filipino actress Dolly De Leon plays Abigail in the award-winning movie. Dolly spoke to CNN Philippines about what this means for Pinoy actors hoping to make it in the industry overseas.
Marami na kaming Pilipino na umabot na sa international film setting sa industry na yon. So kaya nyo rin po, kaya nating lahat yan. Malapit na tayong mga Pinoy na magkaroon ng better representation internationally.
The film's release date in the country has not yet been revealed. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Welcome back to Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Very quickly now, just a reminder, because people might have forgotten, General Carlos, syempre, the police, and then General Santino, the soldiers, you are allowed 50 meters away from polling centers, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. There's still more to talk about with the AFP and the PNP, but let's speak first to NAMFREL and PPCRV. And I wanted to ask Mr. Dagman and Myla here, Myla Villanueva, listening to them, talking about all these scenarios, post-election scenarios before D-Day, eve of D-Day. What are your thoughts and how are you preparing your own organizations for what is expected to happen? Mr. Dagman.
We've never had any problems with violence and things like that. And that's up to them.
Yeah.
We just take care of...
you did a long time ago. Nung manual pa tayo.
Nung manual pa, yeah. We just attend to the job that's before us. And since 2010, we've been handling the random manual audit. So that's what we concentrate on. We do some, where there are gaps and we have volunteers, then we do some poll watching, but that's not our main focus. It's really the random manual audit. Yeah.
Okay. Myla Villanueva for PPCRV.
Yes, Pia, we have 500,000 volunteers this May 9, and they're poll watching in 100,000 plus precincts, and around 37,000 voting centers. So we are out there, and peace and order is a big concern, and therefore each of our coordinators have been meeting with the PNP and AFP in the areas, especially the areas of concern. So we're preparing for that as well. But we have been training. This is again not the first time PPCRV has been around. But as you can see in some of the photos, our areas that we cover are very remote in certain cases, some are urban. So there are different scenarios for our volunteers, and we really train and work with them to keep their safety, first of all. in any event.
Okay. Of course, you are, like you said earlier, you are doing the partial, unofficial quick count, and you are going to be receiving the election return, a digital transmission, and the hard copy.
Yes.
That you will compare, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And election night, we will already know the winners. Right.
Well, it is called unofficial parallel count for a reason. We do not proclaim a winner
Right.
despite receiving. Our real work in the unofficial parallel count is to collect the fourth copy of the return when the polling centers close. That's around 7 o'clock. By law, we are allowed to pick up a fourth copy that is a pre-transmission copy. And then, of course, copy 9 forward is a post-transmission return. So the importance of that is we pick up, imagine the scale, 106,000 precincts. We pick this all up and send it to our command center, where each of the returns will be matched against the electronic copy. So the return that the VCM sends electronically is matched twice in a double-blind scenario, just to assure the public that no dagdag bawas was happening in the transmission.
And in 2019, you were satisfied when you compared both the electronic copy and the hard copy, the fourth copy of the ER.
Yes, back in 2019, we had 87,000 precincts. We picked up 77,000 returns, and we got a 99.995% match. So we certainly can assure the public that as they feed the ballots, there's so many questions about what happens after you feed the ballot into the machine, that transmission was well and good.
That's good, 99.995% na nagmatch. Okay. And earlier you were saying, of course, you're doing the unofficial count, no? And because the work of proclaiming, of doing the official count belongs to other groups, no, other boards of canvassers, right? Can you very briefly just remind our viewers, for example, sa local, sa national, senator, party list, president, Congress, who's going to be doing the official count, just so that people will remember?
It's really always the COMELEC in any event. Therefore, the public should expect that we will stop at some point when the results are really nearing. The proclamation for national, president, vice president is really the work of the COMELEC, the Senate. And our job is really to sort of tell the public that the returns are coming in, that the technology is doing its job, that the results from the precincts are coming in, and then of course, we are also waiting for the physical returns, that those are also coming in, and that they are matching. PPCRV does not proclaim candidates, even if people think, wow, we know the results already.
Yeah, you are just merely informing us of the results of the unofficial partial quick count. But election night, we will have proclamations at local levels, right? Cities, provinces, right? Sorry, at very least, municipalities or cities, right?
Yes,
Mr.
the local results come out very much earlier than the national, obviously, because from the municipalities, from the precincts, they go to the municipal board of canvassers, and then the provincial board of canvassers, and finally the national board of canvassers. So, in the meantime, the local officials can be proclaimed even as they're still working on the national final tabulations.
And of course, that was the beauty of that is the beauty of automated elections beginning 2010. And we need to talk about this so that we can remind people what it was like way back when we were doing manual, right, sir? Mr. Lagman, hindi ba? Nung NAMFREL, nung panahon ng NAMFREL, nung nagbabantay pa kayo ng balota at ballot box.
Yeah, we would have, in 1986, for example, we had 500,000 volunteers working, and then just at the LaSalle Green Hills, we had 2,000 on 3 shifts, 2,000 volunteers working 3 shifts. And that's 3 floors. It's a good thing I was younger then.
Yeah, the big dome of LaSalle.
The big dome of LaSalle.
Pero ibang-iba dati, no? Manual election, and then now, di ba? Less stress ngayon, right?
Yeah, because first of all, it's faster. The COMELEC count then would extend up to June 30, almost.
Right.
And one time we were worried that they might not finish by June 30, and there might be a constitutional crisis.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we won't have any officials come July 1.
Right. June 30, inaugural day. We're supposed to inaugurate the new president and VP. Yes,
I
Myla.
was a poll watcher as a young person back then. And in Rizal Stadium, people would be sleeping just in the stadium just to watch. No, there's something to say about the speed at which we know our results. There's less time for any cheating. The violence has gone down. And while the proclamations are happening in a very physical world, in the digital side of things, you're really knowing what's going on across local, provincial, and national positions. So it calms people down. Although for the losers, of course, they say natulog lang ako, pagising ko, natapos na.
Yeah.
But there's
Well, there can
really,
only be one winner, right? How many winners can there be, Myla?
correct.
One lang, right?
Correct.
Okay,
So,
sige. We
Except for
really
the
need to-
councilors and senators.
Yeah,
Of course. Yes, 12 senators, ilang bukal sa isang probinsya, ilang konsehal. Okay. Yeah.
So, I'm very much happier now that the automated system is in place. And, you know, every election has something that happens. You know, it's not a perfect system in any case. But with the automated system, you can easily audit things. You can look at logs. You can ask the systems questions. So there's a format or a philosophy we have at PPCRV that you trust, but you verify. And both those two, I think, we can do for the public.
And there is a paper, there is a digital trail as well. And I like we said, trust and verify. But people can have faith in our elections, right?
Well, let's just say that we have to be proud of our election. I mean, we still have one person, one vote. And this is probably the most automated system in the world where 65.7 million registered voters, if they all come out, can cast their vote. And we can know the results pretty quickly. That's quite something to behold.
Oh, voters coming out very quickly before the break. We have a minute to go before the break. Voter turnout has been quite okay, in the last few elections.
Yeah.
And this time around, do you have like a guesstimate for what voter turnout might be like this time around?
Maybe around 80
Uy,
or a
mataas
little
na
more,
yun,
because of the interest in this coming elections.
Interest. Yeah. 80%.
Trying to choose my words.
Oh, it's okay. Don't choose your words. Not on this show. It's okay. Okay. And Myla, ganyan din sa inyo, 80%. Yeah.
It's polarized. People want to be heard. They want to be right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to come out and have their voices heard.
And that is democracy, right?
Yes,
Oo.
absolutely.
Okay, I remember because I used to cover NAMFREL also way back when, and we would always talk about the fill-up rate for senators, yung dapat 12 senators, and it's very rarely do people fill up all 12, right, sir?
The average fill-up rate would usually be between 7 and 8. Yeah.
Okay. Ano yun?
For the senators.
Nung manual, 7 to 8. Tapos nung nag-digital, pareho
Still,
lang.
yeah.
Still.
Oo.
Okay. Why? That's all they can remember, or that's all they wanted to vote for?
Well, I guess they only vote for those that, ito, kilala ko to, ito, narinig ko na to, and they find it difficult to fill up 12 names.
Yeah. Pero ngayon, shading of ballot.
Kaya mas madali.
Mas
Because
madali.
you just shade the circles or ovals.
Yeah, if they can remember, right?
Yeah. Well, I always say that, bring a código. So it takes you only about 2 to 3 minutes and you're done.
Yeah. Okay. Código, not on your phone. Pwede yung phone.
Not on your phone.
Written.
Yeah, written.
A printout, a handwritten or a printout código of the names of the senators you want to vote for, party list, etc.
The
complete
list of officials.
Yeah, don't
Madam.
vote over 12. That will
of
invalidate.
course,
So
Yeah.
people have to know
Sundan ko
sometimes.
lang yun. Bring your own Codico. Do not accept Codico.
Yeah.
Yung ikaw
Yung sample ballot nila.
Yung
Bring your
sarili
own.
mong sulat, pili mo, wag yung isinusubo sa'yo.
Okay.
Yung official sample ballot.
Yeah. kaya lang, bumoto na ako eh. Local absentee voting. Di ba? AFP,
okay.
PNP, media.
Pwede
We
kayo.
voted last week na.
Pwede kayo.
We exercised our right to vote. All right. We'll be right. We will be right back after this very quick break. Politics as usual. Stay with us. Right. Welcome back to Politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros, Gus Lagman and Myla Villanueva. Kanina pinag-uusapan na nga yung mga kodiko na kailangang dalhin na sabi nga ni John Orde, huwag kayong tatanggap ng kodiko mula sa ibang tao. Dapat may dala kayong sarili. No? Pero I wanted to ask you this also. Ano yung mga most common mistakes ng mga botante and how can they avoid them?
Well, Pia, there's so much disinformation going around in the internet. So this is a very important question. Napakasimple lang po bumoto. Isang presidente is shade. Shade 100%. Vice President shade. Kasi sinasabi po ng disinformation ngayon, i-X, i-cross out. Kung ayaw mo, don't. Please simplify, just vote and shade the oval. We're also still in the middle of the pandemic. So the COMELEC has come out with a precinct finder, very easy to use. Hanapin nyo na po ang inyong presinto kasi dyan nagkakagulo ang election day. So that's another way. And yes, please know your votes already. So I agree very much that you would save a lot of time and also probably get to vote more senators because yes, I hear that people have problems remembering 12 names.
Okay, basta not more than 12.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lagman, any other reminders for voters?
Well, be careful lang kasi sometimes one of the mistakes that a voter does is while thinking natutudlok yung pen. On a kwan, no? So be very careful. Just make sure that you're shading the right oval or circle.
Okay. So if you're still parang lift your pen,
Lift
parang
your
hindi
pen,
in other parang ganito, parang hindi nakaganon. Okay. Oo.
Yeah.
Although sa local absentee voting kasi manual but
ganun
yeah.
ba? I see.
Okay. So just be very, very careful or else it could mean na ma-invalidate ang balota.
And better for them to go to the polls early. No? Ako, I usually vote 7 o'clock. I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Kanina with General Centino and General Carlos, napag-usapan na, nabanggit na itong mga areas of concern, yung mga tinatawag na hotspots. So, can we talk about that plus the private armed groups? Because I'm sure that magkasama na yun, ano? So, when it comes to areas of concern, areas of grave concern, may different color symbols yan. At the same time, syempre, pag sinasabing private armed groups, we've been talking about private army since the late 80s, 90s. Hanggang ngayon pa ba merong mga ganoon? And what kind of a threat do they pose for our elections? Let's begin with General Centino.
Yeah, together with the COMELEC, the PNP and the AFP submits our information regarding situation in certain areas, and with this information we're able to come up with the classification of areas, areas of grave concern, and we have a color code for these areas: green, yellow, orange, and red. This is, as I was saying earlier, needed to because we can practically cover all areas. Importante doon na identify lang natin saan talaga ang malamang magkaroon ng problema during election day. So
and that's where you concentrate most of your forces.
We deploy our forces.
Okay.
And we have around more than 770 towns, municipalities considered areas of grave concern, and we have 74 cities. And this is where we concentrate our deployment of forces.
Okay. And for the PNP, ganun din.
Yes, we made this recommendation to the COMELEC, and the final yung category nila will come from the COMELEC. The latest is we have 10 towns in Lanao and in Maguindanao that are now under the COMELEC control. So the red colored areas, doon kami nagko-concentrate. These are areas where presence of the local terror group, the New People's Army that converts themselves to be of service, where also where they for candidates or they require PTC, permit to campaign. So these areas yung nabanggit
Meron
na
pang
kanina.
ganun, may permit to campaign. You have monitored candidates selling or less?
Year of this election compared in the previous elections. So, yun ang binabantayan natin. And then we also look at the historical record of how many, if there are election-related incidents in the past 2 elections. So we can categorize them as red kung meron. Karamihan naman po nito ay it's over 100 lang naman na nasa red category. The rest are we're monitoring them and making sure that no ERIs or ERVIs will happen. Election-related incidents. So far, total natin 53. 10 are the only confirmed election-related incidents, and they are under investigation at this time already. So, compared to the previous elections, mas okay tayo ngayon, mas lower.
Dahil sa pandemya?
Hindi naman. Kasi pagdating ng January, nasa labas na rin ng tao eh. So, it's more, I believe it's more of yung tao mismo, relying so much now on the social media for information.
Wait. So parang yan ang nagiging exhaust valve, no? Social media. Doon na lang binubuhos. Ganun.
So kami naman, we maintain our presence in the streets by converting our quarantine control points as border control points, plus the COMELEC checkpoints. People are out now, and I hope they will be out on May 9 to vote. Walang takot, walang influensya. It's on their own. That's what we really want to happen. And we make sure that the armed forces and the PNP were ready there to secure them when they vote.
And if I may add, in the past, yung New People's Army, ito talaga very active in demanding for permit to campaign fees, and pag hindi nagbigay, ito yung magkakaroon ng mga atrocities na nangyari. But as we are succeeding in our campaign against the insurgents, bumaba na itong capability nila to threaten. So that's why we see na itong reduction of election-related incidents over the past elections. Ngayon, mababa talaga. That's one factor that we see.
Okay. Nabanggit na rin ni General Carlos itong mga checkpoints, no? And doon yung nakukuha karamihan ng mga loose firearms, for example. Mga gun ban violations doon nahuhuli.
Nahuhuli natin sila because of the checkpoints. It's over 2,850 ang total natin as of today from day 1. Pero marami po sa atin pong nare-recover na firearms are being turned in. Turned in by the candidates, turned in
voluntarily
voluntarily. Like for example, yung pong atin pong nagsusurrender ng mga NPA rebels, they're turning in their firearms, and we're counting this as to reduce the number of loose firearms in the street or in the hands of unauthorized personnel. So marami po yung ganyan. Tapos yung ina-account namin through bilang boga, through our efforts to go and ask the owner of registered firearms to renew their firearms registration. So it's the different efforts to remove or take away these firearms during the election period para hindi magamit.
But what kind of firearms? Long arms?
Mostly yan sidearm, short firearms.
Okay. All right. We'll have to take a quick break going into the final stretch of the show. More on our discussion when we come back. Stay tuned. our final stretch. This is Politics as Usual. General Centino and General Carlos, of course, one of the big questions for you and your organizations is how, of course, soldiers and policemen can cast their votes. So that is the only thing you can do in terms of political participation, right, General Centino?
That's right, Pia. We can vote on election day, and some have actually voted. They avail of the absentee voting option. And we have always been emphatic about this among our soldiers, that as an organization, we have to be non-partisan. We won't be siding with any group. We don't support any candidate, any political group. Our duty is to ensure the security of the process, the physical aspect of security of the elections. That's really our primary duty. And I've been saying this to our soldiers, that sometimes our personal preference is immaterial.
Right.
We just keep it to ourselves, and maybe on election day we cast our vote. That's about it. And what's more important is the will of the people is heard, and it's who the people would vote for, and they win the elections.
Okay, and that is a reminder to all the soldiers, the men and women of the armed forces, and to the candidates and their campaigns also. We should be reminding them also, no, about the soldiers. General Carlos, sa PNP, ganyan din.
Yes, mas mahirap sa amin because we're really dealing with
The
candidates or
politicians.
the local chief executives pag hindi election period. But again, we rally the entire Philippine National Police. We rally to that we are a professional Philippine National Police that will only work for a peaceful election, nothing else. Kaya yung preparations namin was early. We remove our policemen that have relatives running for posts in the areas where they can influence. That's part of our rotation policy. We remove our provincial directors, chief of police in the area that they've been there for a year or more than a year, just to make sure that they are not the one that would lead us in the field are not familiar with the local chief executives or candidates. We did that early January 9, and we keep on reminding our personnel that to be apolitical, just be neutral, non-partisan. So sabi ko nga, itong last 2-3 weeks, I'm monitoring them. So,
I'm watching
talagang making sure that you follow. So, kung meron hindi nag-declare, so I have to remove these personnel that did not declare that they have relatives running in these areas. But generally, the entire Philippine National Police, majority, talaga pong very professional sila at this time, kami at this time, making sure that wala muna kaming hi hello sa mga local chief executives or the candidates that are running. And ang aming pong plano, bumoto lahat ng police na rehistrado. They will go to where they are registered voters. And thank you very much to the COMELEC for allowing us to vote early in the morning in uniform, and the moment after we have casted our votes, magpe-perform na po kami ng duty to make sure the rest of the Filipino people can go out and vote.
Okay.
Yun po yung amin pong gagawin.
Okay. And so that is a reminder to the men and women of the Philippine National Police, and I'm repeating, I know I sound like a broken record, to the Philippine National Police and the candidates and their campaigns, right?
Yan po ang billing ng Commander-in-Chief, the President himself. So we follow.
At alam nyo yun that is in the Constitution, right? Loyalty to the Constitution. You will remain non-partisan until the last ballot is counted, correct?
16,
General
the
Centino and
Constitution.
General Carlos. Final words, very quickly now. Gus Lagman of of NAMFREL first.
I would suggest to all voters to vote early and to bring a código so that they can also fill up their ballots quickly. And maybe go back to the precinct during the counting, just to watch, and that's it. Let's respect the will of the people.
Respect the will of the people. Myla Villanueva, PPCRV.
Well, don't take the privilege for granted. Please go out and vote. discern your votes well. It will affect the next 6 years of your life. So especially to our young voters, discern, think, pray, and go out and cast your vote. PPCRV and all our volunteers, 500,000 of them will be with you at the precincts to support and hold a clean, honest, accurate, meaningful, and peaceful election.
General Carlos, PNP Chief.
Yes, your Philippine National Police will be there before, during, and after May 9. We'll make sure that your votes are protected and the entire environment for that day is peaceful for everyone.
Thank you, sir. And General Centino, Armed Forces.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is ready for the elections. We have sufficient forces and we have prepared enough. May 9 is the day that we exercise our right, and I would call on all Filipinos to vote responsibly, vote wisely. This will be our future, and it's important that we exercise this right. To my fellow soldiers, let's do our job. Let's be neutral, non-partisan, and we make sure that we have secured, safe elections. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our guests tonight. Mr. Gus Lagman of NAMFREL, sir, thank you. Myla Villanueva, PPCRV, ma'am, thank you very much. General John Art Carlos, sir, thank you very much for being here, Chief PNP. And AFP Chief of Staff, General Andy Centino. Sir, maraming salamat po. Thank you for being here. And like they've said, respect the will of the people, discern and pray. PPCRV volunteers will be with you. The voters at the precincts, the PNP, according to General Carlos, will be there before, during, and after May 9. And General Andy Centino saying, telling fellow soldiers to be neutral and non-partisan. May 9 is the day we exercise our right to vote, and everyone should be voting wisely. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here at this table on the show. Your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pio Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8 p.m.